Yo, what's going on, you guys? It's your boy 3 Stacks in this thing, baby, representing Team Kings of Games. And today, I'm coming at you guys with that fire. I'm coming at you guys with the strongest Pendulum deck, the most versatile Pendulum deck. This is my opinion, this is my biased opinion, so don't argue with me in the comment section saying this is better than this. I'm telling you guys my opinion, that in my opinion, ZEFRA is the strongest Pendulum archetype. Here are reasons why. When I get into the profile, I'll give you explanations on how this deck has some of the most powerful interactions. This deck also does stuff that not only any other Pendulum deck just simply can't do without playing the ZEFRA cards. It also does stuff that other decks just can't do, especially the way this does. One of the most appealing aspects of this deck that I can share with you is the simple fact that this deck has the ability to search any monster in the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! This Pendulum deck is so powerful, yet so versatile. Well, it is big brain, so it's not easy. So I understand why some people just don't like ZEFRA. They like Endymion because, you know, they can just, it's easier. You know, it's just RNG. Go to Tripp's channel, net deck away. But anyways, ZEFRA is like so versatile. It's a jack of all trades. It's a toolbox Pendulum deck. So before I even, matter of fact, let me just exit out real quick. Before I even talk about this deck's strengths and weaknesses, let me just tell you things that other Pendulum decks just get shut down by. Vanity's Fiend, Majesty's Fiend, there can be only one, anti-spell fragrance, and there can only be one, yes, because like, think of all the other Pendulum archetypes. They're like all spellcasters or all psychics, or they're all like machines, you know, or they're like all, again, spellcasters because pin mags, you know. I'm just thinking about like all the popular ones. Ignites are all warriors, you know. Certain floodgates, they get shut down by skill drain, you know. They get shut down by the Sacred Beast continuous trap. That's another skill drain. They get shut down by all these different floodgates. Remember, again, like, I'm not saying these are popular, but just think about all these cards that can just be an auto win against Pendulums. Like, there can be only one if you're playing against, like, if you use it against, like, for example, let's just say like it's like a mainstream Triff gaming list that everybody just loves to just copy and just not even test, just like copy paste, take it away. So there can be only one. Skill drain, Vanity's Emptiness, Majesty's Fiend, anti-spell fragrance, Imperial Order. What's other good things? Hand traps, Nibiru, Ash Blossom, Imperm, Effect, like they're dying to like multiple hand traps. What's other cards that absolutely slaughter their boards when they're going second against them? Dark Ruler No More, Spear Mode, Lava Golems, Super Poly, Evenly Matched, you know, just like, not, well, I wouldn't say evenly matched necessarily, so let me change it up a little bit. Like, what's other cards that like just really destroy boards? Oh yeah, Lightning Storm, like just all these cards that can absolutely wax Pendulum, especially like Dark Ruler No More and Spear Mode more specifically, because they're kind of inevitable. It's really hard to counter them. Not saying that they don't play the Breath Stage and the Magician's Hand, because I'm just gonna eliminate the comments before they drop them, because people like to correct people, you know, and just love to just like feel right for some reason. But not to say they don't have a way, but is their out to Dark Ruler No More searchable? No. But do we ZEFRAs? Now let me talk about ZEFRAs now. Can ZEFRAs out Majesty's Fiend? Yes. Can ZEFRAs out Vanity's Fiend? Yes. Do ZEFRAs lose to Anti-Spell? No, they have searchable outs to Anti-Spell. You can also play more of them. Now, do ZEFRAs get bodied by Imperial Order? No, because we have an out to it in our main deck. Do ZEFRAs, again, how are we outing the Majesty's Fiend and Vanity's Fiend? We'll talk about that. How are we not losing the there can be only one? Well, let's see. We have Worm types, Rock types, Fiend types, Spellcasters, Psychics, Fairies. Oh wow, Warriors. That sounds like we don't even care about like having multiple at the same time, because we don't. Okay, like we don't. We're not losing to those cards. What does Dark Ruler No More do against ZEFRAs? Absolutely nothing. If you guys see my turn 1 boards, it's like Calamity's counter traps. What are you doing to that? If my ending board is just Zephyr Neo in counter traps, what are you doing? Like, what is your Spear Mode doing? What is your Lightning Storm doing? What is your Lava Golem doing? Like, all these cards, what is your Evenly Matched doing? You're getting bodied. Like, you're drawing blank cards that don't do anything because ZEFRAs have an out to every card I just named. Everything. Go back in the video, rewind and see. Oh, let's see. What did 3 stacks say? He named this card. He named that card. Oh, let's see. The ZEFRAs, yes, they have an out to all of those. They have their own floodgate that turns off Nibiru, that bodies Eldritch, that waxes all these different decks. It just cuts so many archetypes in half, and their playability becomes so minimal. It's crazy. So when I get into the list, understand also this. Can other Pendulum decks search their hand traps? No. Can other Pendulum decks play hand traps? No. That's another strength that Zephyrs have that other Pendulum decks don't. You know why Endymions don't play hand trap? Because they're bricks for them. Because they need their whole hand to combo up. Do Zephyrs need their whole hand to combo up? Let me tell you how many cards they need. 2. 2 cards. That's all they need. Another strength they have. Not only is this a Pendulum deck, and I'm talking about Pendulum deck, that's what I'm saying. This is like the best Pendulum deck. Not only is it a Pendulum deck that can play hand traps, it can search hand traps. I will give you guys proof. I'm going to go to my test hands and combos and show you guys how to do the things I'm talking about. So it searches hand traps and it can play them. And on top of that, it doesn't have to play into Nibiru. It has so many bait for hand traps and it can still follow up with the same ending board. Like, this deck's so strong. So getting into the list, just talking about all the strengths, like how this deck does so many different things, like calamities in itself. Pendulum decks just can't do that without Hakui Fibrax, and then it's not their deck doing it anymore. It's the Hakui Fibrax in the cards they splash. So no, that's not their Pendulum deck doing it. This is a Zephyr deck that's utilizing its field spell to do so. So here's my list. Sort. So I play the driver in the Gamma package. The reason why Gamma is so impactful in this deck is because all your spell starters are all vulnerable and prone to hand traps. So if you activate Oracle, you activate Dragon Shrine, you activate Rhoda, you activate Providence, Terraforming Foolish, any of those cards and your opponent has an Ash Blossom. They have, you know, for example, like any kind of interaction, any negation, even monster effect negations like Warlord Savage, Arclight, anything like that, you can just Gamma them and punish them. And when you Gamma them, now you can summon an Appaloosa turn 1, like so easy. Appaloosa is free now, you know. So the Gamma package is super strong in this deck, because also your starters, when you're going second, other than your normal summon starters, all prone to bait negates, because if they don't negate them, you just have a setup that is going to be really, really hard to break. Another thing Gamma's super strong for is if you go against calamities or other floodgate-ish monsters or other combo decks. Gamma can't be called by, and it bodies combo decks. But anyways, 3 of my Anger Translators, ZEFRA. Because this card is a rock monster, now you have ways to search it because Gallant Granite exists. This is the best Pendulum scale in the game, I'm telling you guys right now. Even other YouTubers that are like super fond of like pendulums, I feel like they can't disrespect ZEFRA. This is like the strongest scale in the game. It could be a high scale or a low scale, and it loads your extra deck. So it's like a free plus. This and any scale, no matter what, will allow you to pendulum summon because it modifies itself. I main deck the 1 Nibiru. The reason why I play the 1 Nibiru now is just in case when I go my standard combo, if I already open one of my 3, 6, 7, 10 ways to access ZEFRA, for example, then I just search out Nibiru. Even though I search it and they see it, now they're going to play around it to the extent that they're never going to summon 5 times because they're scared. So just by searching Nibiru, even though you give your opponent that information, what it now means is that they can't really get as aggressive as they want. So how are you going to summon Access Code or Borosaur or Appaloosa under 5 summons? Because when you have Nibiru, you have counter traps, other cards that are going to stop your opponent from playing. So when you search Nibiru, you basically keep them on check the whole entire duel. You keep them on check like, listen, you're not summoning 5 times because you know I have Nibiru. So people, smart players will always play around it, but now when they know you have it, they're so nervous because they have to try to break your board playing through negates without using 5 summons. You tell me how that's possible. I play the 1 Gizmek Kaku the Supreme Shining Sky stat. The reason why I play this card is because your standard combo, where your Pendulum summon Zephyr and Zephraxi with Oracle up, you're just going to be basically summoning calamities by synchroing into Ravenous, and you use the best effect of the Oracle, which is, again, this deck searches any monster, and you just draw it. Like, literally, you search any monster and draw it. So let's say you're like, oh, I just want Phantasme, because Phantasme is so strong. stack Phantasme draw. Let's say Maxi is legal. When Maxi comes back to 1, even if it's 1, this deck ceiling goes through the roof because I search Maxi every combo. This is crazy. Not every combo, but every standard combo that I have where I can pull that off. So this card's super strong. Even as a 1-up when you draw going second, it still can bait interruptions. I play the Gate 0 because Dark Worm is so strong in this deck. Pendulums have cut Dark Worm, but Zephyrs need Dark Worm. It's a necessary +1 that searches out one of our best scales. Gate 0 and Zephyr are your best scales in this deck. I played 3 Zephyr Neos. Zephyr Neos is the lifeblood of the deck. If you're not Pendulum summoning this, you're not even playing Zephyrs to their full potential. This card, once it hits the field, your engine's online, and you're just going to start grinding. This is a Pendulum deck that also has follow-ups. You can break its board and it can recover. It can play hand traps. It can effectively go second with hand traps. And also when I get deeper into the Zephyr list, you're going to see we have spot removal. The reason why we're not losing to these floodgates and things of that nature. You can bait Solemn Strike before it happens. Bait Solemn Judgment before it happens. Can Endymion do that? You tell me how Endymion is going to actually be able to play through Strike or play around Strike. Like how? They have to commit something super powerful to make your opponent even want to strike them in the first place. You can just snipe the strike. You can just snipe the strike. Like Endymion's literally, you have to go basically go Endymion and scale and have 6 counters on your field to even do that. That's like the best that they can do for right now. You know, and I play Endymion, so I know how the deck works. I know Reflection exists. I know Reflection can target, you know, a card on the field to bounce it. But how much you have to commit to be able to use those cards, you need vast resources. This deck does them with less resources and it's easier. But 3 Zephyr Neos, it's so incredible. You guys are going to see replays. You know, you guys seen me playing this deck. This card, it just carries the whole deck. 2 Zephyr Cytons. The Zephyr Cyton targets any set card. So even if it's a face down monster, it's going to pop it. It pops any set cards, it baits back rows, it baits negates. It can preemptively snipe a Cyclone before Cyclone gets used. For example, if they're just like, oh, I'm just going to use Cyclone and win your back rows. Just so many interactions where Zephyr Cyton's super duper strong. It pops any set, it's a 19 beat stick. The 2 Dark Worms I already explained are mandatory. I played 2 copies of Satellarknight Deneb. The reason why Deneb and cards like these Madolches are so good is because they're normal summons that replace themselves and search your scales. And also, they make sure that you can make your rank 4. This deck, you want to make sure that you're making rank 4s turn 1 because Dweller and Tornado Dragon just body the decks that they're respectively good against. And also, you want to make sure you're summoning Gallant Granite every turn as much as you possibly can so you can search out Zephyr or your Nibiru or your Zephyr Core, you know, totally depending on what your composition of your starting hand dictates. And then I do play the Madolche package, the 3 Magellines and the 1 pet, because normal summoning Magellan is a 1 card rank 4. Also, when you start with Magellan, your opponent has to ask because they don't know if you're playing Madolches or not. And some people are just really scared of Magellan because they know it's a 1 card OTK. Anybody that's knowledgeable of this deck automatically thinks you're playing Madolches and then they just want to use a hand trap. It's happened. See my replays where this just baits negates. And then what's really super duper strong is when you actually have like a combo like this. This is why I love Deneb so much too in this deck. When you open Dragon Shrine and Deneb, you search out 3 scales. Dragon Shrine into Dark Worm to get Gate is 1 scale. Normal Deneb, get one of your Zephyr Tellarknights, that's a 2nd scale. Overlay into Gallant Granite, search your Zephyr app, you search 3 scales off 2 cards. That's not just a +1, that's a +3, really, because once Zephyr hits the field and Zephyr Neo gets Pendulum summoned, it's going to replace itself. So then a 2-card combo gets you 2 complete scales, that's 2 cards on the field. Gallant Granite's a 3rd, Zephyr Neo is a 4th, the field spell could even be a 5th, so you could potentially go +5 off 2 cards. In a Pendulum deck that's not Endymion's, that's not playing all these random RNGs, banishing all of your deck, drawing your entire deck in 1 turn. So then if your opponent just happens to just be so sacky to open Dark Ruler and evenly matched, you're dead, you're done, it's over. You know, even if you have like the Magician's Rest stage, you know that continuous spell, that Magician's left hand or right hand, whatever it is, it has to negate the first spell. How dumb would somebody be to activate Dark Ruler No More as their first spell? So when people say it counters Dark Ruler No More, your counter to Dark Ruler No More can be played around by a smart player. I would literally activate any spell but Dark Ruler No More so that it's forcibly negated because there's no choice. So people overhype those cards and they're not even that good because I'm not even going to play Dark Ruler against you as my first spell. But my ways to counter Dark Ruler, for one, I don't even need it. Like honestly, when people use Dark Ruler, if I negate it, it's if I have like a full board, which I rarely do unless I'm confident and comfortable to do so. But normally, I just put up counter traps and like a Dweller or Tornado or Calamities, and it gets you there. Something else Pendulum players have is this weird crippling mindset, is they think they have to just spit out their whole hand or they're not going to be able to win. Like, even when I play Endymions, bro, I can just put up an Indy, a Celine, and a Magister. You know, I can use my Magister to summon from my deck and then use the Indy to bounce my Magister and use Celine to summon Magister and then use Magister to summon again. I just turned only 2 interruptions into 4. People don't even know how to play conservatively even when they play Endymions, because they probably, I don't know what it is, either you're following Trick or you just think you just have to spit out your whole hand. When you play this deck, Zephyr is such a big brain deck that it makes you make good decisions when you play it. Otherwise, you're going to lose with this deck and you're never going to like it, because if you don't know how to play it, you're never going to be able to win that much with it, because it's not easy to play. So again, the Medolce package, another thing that's really strong about this package and like Dragon Shrine plus a level 4 is when you go second, before you start any of your critical plays, you're able to hard summon cards like Granite, Redoer, Tornado. You know, especially Tornado, I really like that when I play against back row decks, that I can bait their back rows on the way to summoning Tornado and then use Tornado to, again, I can summon Tornado before I pin summon. So I could snipe the Judgment, I can snipe the Strike, I can snipe the Crackdown, I can snipe the Conquistador and force them to use it right now, because if I target it, they have to chain it or they lose it. So now I'm not losing Conquistador on my ZEFRA because I summoned Tornado before I even scaled ZEFRA. So it's like super strong. This package, like the Deneb and the Magdalenes, when you open any of these plus Dragon Shrine, it's so crazy. Continue with the Zephyr lineup. I played 1 core. This card's super strong. I see so many Zephyr lists not playing this. This card's powerful. When it's Pendulum summon or sent to the graveyard, which makes Ghost Burial more utility, and detaching it as a material allows you to extend because it targets a Zephyr card in your Pendulum zone, except itself, and special summons it. So whenever you scale any of your Tellarknight level 4s, when you Pendulum summon this, and it's the only level 4 on your field, you make a rank 4 by targeting your level 4 scale, special summon it, now you overlay core, and you already put out Zephyr Neo, so you're getting, just by Pendulum summoning Zephyr Neo with core, and your Zephyr scale, you're potentially already getting 2 interruptions just off that, by Pendulum summoning 2 monsters. This deck is just so tight. Why do you have outs to Vanity's Fiend? There can only be one, and all these different floodgates like Imperial Order, you know, like just anything you could think of, like as far as floodgates go, because even other cards that this card doesn't pop, Zephyr War does. This card, I outed in the Rogue tournament I'm playing in Luxury Gaming right now. I'm in the finals, by the way, by the grace of God. My opponent was playing a Danger weird deck that played like the Nemesis cards and like Dangers, and he main deck There Can Only Be One. I didn't even lose to There Can Only Be One. I summoned Access Cold Talker under There Can Only Be One because all of my monsters are different types. Like There Can Only Be One is like so trash against his deck. But then I just normal summoned Thubin game 3, and so basically I went scale, normal Thubin, targeted his Vanity's Fiend. He sided D barriers and Vanity's Fiend against me. So I just used the Thubin to pop his face up Vanity's Fiend. Now I can play Yu-Gi-Oh! So what happens when other people go against a Necros of Unicorn, for example, or a Vanity's Ruler or a Vanity's Fiend, and they don't draw infinite impermanence? They lose because they don't have any main deck outs naturally. You can't even use Endymion's scale effect to pop Vanities because you have to special him to do that. So Thubin is a normal summon, Dryden, spell speed 1, that pops any face up. And it's searchable by 3, 6, 7 cards in my main deck that can search it out. I'm sorry, 8, 9, 10 cards that search it out. Actually, my bad. And on top of that, I played 2 copies, so it's like I have 12 ways to open it. So this card is why you don't lose to those other floodgates. Floodgates like Majesty's Fiend and Anti-Spell Fragrance, you know, things like that. Zephyr War is searchable, and you can out it with those. You know, you could just use it. This is why I like the 3 Zephyr Wars too, because also when you go second, you just go scale, you can just pop stuff. Then I played not 1 but 2 Wendy's, because Wendy's super strong in the grind game. This deck has the missing effects that Electromite we lost from, because we can't send our Pendulum monsters anymore from your deck to your extra deck and then add them. This deck can. Think about all my Pendulum monsters. All my Pendulum monsters except for Darkworm are all Zephyrs, right? I can do exactly what Electromite does. I can even draw because of the Ravenous Crocodilus. I can use Zephyr to send any Zephyr monster I want, and then just normal Windy and add it from my extra deck to hand. That's exactly what Electromite does, minus drawing. So who cares if Electromite's banned, because I play the best Pendulum deck, Zephyrs. Then I play 3 Zephyraxis because it's super duper important for a lot of your combos. This is also how you summon Odd Eyes Vortex. You target a level 4 Zephyr, summon out Meteor Burst, target your 7 scale Dark Worm, the Gate 0 I mean, and then you just special it, overlay an Absolute. You go to Vortex. I rarely do that because I play very conservative turn 1, then I go aggressive after that. But when you just know, like let's say for example, you have a Gamma in your hand, you link into Lambda first. That's why I play Lambda, because when I go mid combo, if they try to Nibiru me, I could just Gamma and then I punish them even more, because after I Gamma them with the Lambda, Gamma, and the driver become Appaloosa to stop further hand traps, which is insane. Pendulum decks just can't do that. But anyways, I can summon Vortex, I can summon Calamities, also a win condition. Oh my goodness, we're gonna get into the extra deck, because this deck, it makes me so excited that I start to get ahead of myself. So the 3 Zephraxi, super insane. 1 Pilica to Reborn. I XYZ a lot, and then when you do actually get Solemn Strike, you just normal Pilica or Pendulum summon it, and then you bring back those cards like Zephyr from your grave to your face-up field, then you link them off, put them back in your extra deck so you can pin summon them again. So this card's super duper strong, it's very very powerful, and it's a low scale, and it's level 3, so if you want to play Charge Warrior, now you have more level 3s for Charge Warrior, so that you can just stack a hand trap and draw it with your Zephraxi play. Then 3 Ash Blossoms and 3 Gammas. I cut down on the hand traps, as you guys can see, started to side deck them, just more testing and more realizing, dang, I don't even need all these hand traps, my deck's just so good, like literally, like this deck's just so good. The Ash is actually searchable too, off Chao Feng and your Ravenous play, because Chao Feng searches a tuner. This is searchable off your Ravenous play and off Lambda, because you can actually summon out Redoer and Lambda turn 1. Redoer is super strong in this deck too. The reinforcement of the army, so that you're playing 3 Denebs, or 3 of your any other Satellar Knights. So this just searches a scale. It's a really strong one of. It increases consistency. 3 Dragon Shrines. I played 3. You max out of them because Dragon Shrine is dang near full combo. So if you open Dragon Shrine and a level 4, it's like full combo. The reason being is because you basically search Gate 0 and then you search out ZEFRA. So you get your 2 scales and a free Gallant Granite, and then you get access to your Zephyr. Anything that Pendulum summons Zephyr is full combo in this deck, just so you know. So Dragon Shrine plus any level 4 is full combo, so you could have 4 hand traps, 3 hand traps for example, 3 hand traps and a Dragon Shrine and a Satellar Knight Deneb preferably, so one of your 3 Denebs, because Rhoda makes it 3. So Dragon Shrine plus the Deneb, and they're both at 3, so you go open them, and 3 hand traps is still fine because you get 3 scales off 2 cards and you keep your 3 hand traps. So again, this is like the best Pendulum deck, because other things Pendulum suffer from is consistency when they don't open their scales. Endymion decks have to hard draw them because Mastery is like the only thing. Like Mastery and Abductor are like their only ways to search scales, and even those they have to work for. And when you Ash Mastery against Endymions, they kind of just like, it's like their strongest play. This deck, it just searches out its scales. So again, we don't need Pendulum Call, we don't even need Electromite, because we just have that kind of consistency that Pendulum decks crave, they need. The Terraforming for my field spell, because it searches any Zephyr monster. 3 Providence, this card's like the most broken Rhoda like I can think of right now. Like it, well, not like the most broken, but it's like so broken. It adds any Zephyr card from deck to hand, then it banishes to protect from destruction of any Zephyr cards. Twin Twister's no void, Lightning Storm is no void, you know, like anything that would just nuke my back row, I mean not my back row but my scales, is just like no void. Now when they do have Ghost Ogre for Zephrath, like when they end up using it and you have this engraved, not the turn sent but the next turn, you just banish it to protect. It also protects like the strongest Floodgate this deck has. Then the Foolish, so you have 4 Dragon Shrines. If you open a Dragon Shrine plus this, you can just then Foolish the Zephyr core to special one of your scales so you can extend more. And then I play 3 copies of Oracle of ZEFRA. These cards right here, the Oracle and the Providence, always normally get Ash if your opponent has it. And then that's where the 2-card combo or anything that makes Gallant Granite becomes so impactful. Because you can use Gallant Granite first, and if they don't Ash it, like which they should, so either way, you either bait their Ash with the Philspore or this, or you bait it with Granite, which I recommend Granite anyways. So when your opponent has Ash for Mastery and they have an Effect Veiler, normally Endymion just like, they just can't play. Like in most instances, nearly like most instances. But with this deck, like when I open Providence and Oracle, and I also open a way, like for example, just let's say it's Providence, Oracle, and Magdalene. So now when I normal Magdalene, I'm already baiting Veiler and Imperm. And if they don't, I summon Granite, then I get Imperm. Then I activate this, they activate Ash, so I'm like, alright, fine. Then I follow up with Providence, and now I just keep playing through those hand traps. And keep in mind, I have Gamma. If I have Gamma, it's even more insane. So then I would just play these first to try to bait their hand traps so I can Gamma them. And then I'm just gonna literally go Magdalene into this, go into Gallant Granite, summon Appaloosa later that turn, game over. And then I play one of each trap for right now. I sideboard into them for when I know I'm going first. Because when you go first and you open these, These cards literally like just can't be outed. Like, you want to hold Zephyr War in your hand because a smart player, like, nobody's ever done this to me, but I know if I play against Zephyr, I would side Dinkos. A smart player would try to use Dinkos. You just hold Zephyr War in your hand, so when they normal Dinko, you activate it from your hand, pop their Dinko, now your counter traps are back online. Do these lose to Lightning Storm? No. Do these lose to Dark Lord? No. Do these lose to Nibiru? No. Do these lose to Spirit Mode? No. Can these be Kaiju? No. Can these be Super Poly? No. Can these be evenly matched? No. Like, what stops a counter trap? You have to bait it. Like, this is what's so good about this deck, the counter traps. Like, so strong. Extra deck is Vortex. This is a literal win condition in my deck that, like, bro, like, oh my goodness. Do you know how good Emancipator is right now? It's tier 1. Like, some people say it's tier 0.5. I summon Chao Feng. I summon it with Earths. Every time I make it, it's going to be with Earths. I'm telling you that right now. Because Zephyr Neo plus a level 3, whether it's a tuner, non-tuner, Zephraxi preferably making Zephyr Neo as a tuner. How do Emancipators activate any of their 3 best tuners? They can't use Earths. How do they use Guardian? How are they going to combo off? How are they going to use Doki Doki? What can they use to combo off without using Earth monsters? And also, how are they going to play around my counter traps now? How are they going to play through Ash Blossom? This card is like true king of all calamities, dang near, against them. And anytime I smash one of their Earth monsters, I can just special summon a Zephyr Neo from the deck, which is insane. Or I can special Zephraxi from the deck on the follow-up, target one of my level 4 Zephyrus, and then I go into my Vortex combo. So this card enables combos. Like, this card, Chao Feng, is insane. It dies, I search Ash Blossom or Gamma. There's like no neg off of Chao Feng. It's insane. I play against any Earth deck. Modolches, Emancipators, Zodiacs. 3 super popular Earth decks. Tri-Brigades, when Tri-Brigades come out, that new archetype of like Beast Warrior, Splashable, whatever you want to call it, Chao Feng still is going to body that engine. Even if they're playing Fire Fist, any Tri-Brigades are all Earths, I'm smacking them with Chao Feng. This card's a win con. Back in the day, Spirals, this body Spirals. This card's so good. Ravenous, you're summoning it so that you go Chainlink 1 Ravenous, Chainlink 2 Oracle, stack Kaku, and draw it. Other things you can do is just stack any hand trap. Meteor Burst for the Vortex play. I play Calamities because can't nobody beat this when I have a counter trap. I can even just shotgun it and standby because if they have Imperm, I have counter trap. I end the chain link. Even if you have a second Imperm, I end the chain link with my counter trap. So Calamities, I win. Like, it's crazy. Absolute for the Vortex plays. Redoer is actually super strong as a rank 4 himself, but also he has synergy with Lambda to search Gamma. Gallant Granite. So you see here already 2 of my rank 4s can search my combo pieces, or also I can search my hand traps off of Gallant Granite because of Nibiru being a rock. Tornado and Dweller are just super strong, you guys. Dweller is the best rank 4, Calamity is like the best XYZ right now in the game. Access Code Talker is better than Borosword because it's easier to make. Normally you just link climb into it anyways and you just kill your opponent. When you make Calamities, you're probably going to access code your opponent next turn. 53 plus 3k is 83, that's lethal. You clear their board on the way. You're going into, you know, Zephyr Saiton, Zephyr Thubin, pop, make access code talker, pop. You can activate Zephyr War from hand if you want to, pop again. Appaloosa, I rarely make it, but when I do, it's normally because like it's just the situation calls for it. Zephyr Metaltron, ain't that funny that this is a Pendulum deck that barely makes Appaloosa because you just don't need it because your deck's already so good. Zephyr Metaltron's insane. You guys have to read this card. It's just so good. Lambda is actually here because it's a generic link 2 for 1, and also 3, whenever I have Gammas in my hand and my opponent still hasn't hand trapped me, now I'm going to link in a Lambda so whenever they do, Gamma's ready. And this is a crazy thing about summoning Lambda with Gamma in hand when you're trying to combo off. They allow me to make my Appaloosa after that. Because when I use Gamma in hand while I control Lambda, I summon out my driver. I then link Lambda, Gamma, and driver into Appaloosa. So now the next hand trap they have, I can stop it, which is crazy. And then IP Masquerena, because, you know, she's really nice. It could be cross sheep if you want. The rest of the side deck, as you guys can see, is 14 right now. Kind of like still on the fence. I want to just throw in another 9 pillars. So I have 2 more Nibirus. Zephyr Path is like the best floodgate this deck has right now. Like, you can actually activate this first and then summon Calamities. Reason being is because you can only special summon from your hand or your extra deck with this up. The Calamities combo only does summon from your hand or extra deck. No summoning from main deck, no summoning from graveyard, not from Banish Zone. You know, you Pendulum summon from hand, you Synchro summon, you XYZ, that's all from extra deck, which is still, again, hand or extra deck. You search this, add it to your hand, reveal it to summon it. So you can make Calamities under your path, and now you have Path and Calamities. So you have 2 floodgates that really can't be outed because counter trap protects 1. This is already protected by itself. It can be targeted by card effects while you have a card in your Pendulum zone. And then if your opponent tries to basically, I don't know, like lightning storm it without targeting it, you just banish Providence to protect it. So there's no way to out it with Cyclone or Twin Twister because those target it. And if you have a way to out it without targeting it, I can either negate it or just banish Providence. So is this Floodgate going anywhere? It's very unlikely. It's just crazy. Like, this card literally says, like, okay, you can only special from hand or extra deck. Does that stop you from playing Yu-Gi-Oh completely? No. But how many things can you not do? Like, a lot. Like, you can't summon from your main deck. You can't summon from graveyard. You can't summon from banish zone. You can't summon tokens because they don't come from anywhere from the extra deck or the from the hand. So now you can't summon tokens, which means you can't Nibiru me. You can't do your Hyper Fibrax combos. You know, you can't even resolve Needle Fiber in the first place. Can you summon for example, a Golden Lord on me? Yeah, only from the hand. You can't bring Golden Lord back from the grave to try to like put him at 35 and beat over something. You can't even resolve Conquistador or any of your continuous traps because they don't come from the hand or the extra deck. This card bodies like everything. It's crazy. It's like everything that's good right now. It destroys. Like, it's so good. 3 imperms for more hand traps. You could main them if you want. I used to. 3 evenlies. It's just generically good, you guys. And then you guys are gonna think I'm crazy. I cited in more ZEFRA traps. When you go first, there's nothing better from experience as a seasoned, and I say seasoned ZEFRA player. I've been playing this deck for years, and I got more invites with Zephyrs than I've gotten with any other deck. More tops with Zephyrs than any other deck, not even Heralds, has done me justice like Zephyrs have done. This is like slowly becoming like just my favorite deck, period. Like, it's like starting to become like that. Like, I love Heralds, but like this deck is just so crazy. So I literally cited in 2 more Wars, 2 more Pride Strikes, and 1 more 9 Pillar. I might as well just throw in another 9 Pillar. Like, the only time these are dead is if your whole hand's dead. If your whole hand's dead, you're not playing. So even if you just have a ZEFRA and you draw this and this, you already have 2 interruptions just because you activated ZEFRA. It's like, this is never dead because Zephyrs always go to your extra deck, whether you send them off ZEFRA or just link with them. This is like super live all the time because you have 6 Yang Zings that are searchable also off of 3, 6, 7 more cards. So you have 13 ways to access them, excluding the fact that ZEFRA also counts making 16. Anything that makes Gallant Granite counts because Gallant Granite searches Zephyr, which sends them so you can pin summon them. And if you add Zephyr to your hand, you're going to pin them summon because all you need is any other scale to make it happen. So these are always live. And the reason why these are so good is because whenever I go against good players and they have hand traps, when I already hard draw these, I'm going to play conservative now. I'm just going to pin summon Zephyr Neo. They're going to like Imperm or Valor. I'm going to be like, fine, set 9 Pillars, set Divine Strike, you know, set Zephyr Work, pass. I'm sorry, keep Zephyr War in hand most instances. So like these, when you go first, like this is the only thing you want to side is these. So this deck's so good that going first, its own archetype wins. Zephyr Path and the rest of the traps are what are you going to side. You can just literally side out the Nibiru. You can side out, you know, for example, even hand traps. You don't really need them. I keep Gamma just because it stops hand traps itself. But you can then easily just side out like one Windy. You can side out the Denebs because you don't need them. You already have like, you could just debate which normal summon you want to keep. Like, dude, you could side out so much in this deck because like you really only need 2 cards to go off. And now what I'm going to do is prove to you guys. I'm going to prove to you guys about what I was talking about how good this deck is. I'm going to go to Replace, ZEFRA, and I'm going to show you guys test hands that are actually combos. ZEFRA Auto Win combo number 1. This video is not a deck profile. It's a video saying why ZEFRA is the best Pendulum deck. Boom. This is my opening hand. I have Ash Blossom, Foolish Burial, Providence, and Dark Worm, and I drew the Gate 0. So it's not even gonna be that bad. So what happens if I activate Providence first and my opponent Ash Blossoms it? Dang! I'll just Foolish Burial into Dark Worm, normal the Dark Worm that's in my hand, make Gallant Granite, and search out my Zephyr. So this is a hand that can play through 1 hand trap, for example. It depends what hand trap they have too. So you can't just say hand traps because what if they don't open the right one? That's another thing. What if they don't open the right one? So as you can see, I just went full combo. You guys are going to see what's happening here. So you guys are seeing how I'm playing it out. I went into Gallant Granite and searched my Zephyr. So now I can Providence into Oracle into Zephraxy. Any hand that can have Oracle up while Pendulum summoning Zephraxy and Zephyr Neo is going to make calamities. You guys are going to see the combo now. The auto win combo. Zephyr. Because let's just think of it, like, the good decks right now that everybody's playing, do any of them, like, not lose to calamities? No, like, none of them can, like, play through calamities. Like, and on top of that, how are you getting OTK'd if calamities is a lingering effect? So this is why I said, like, Lightning Storm sucks, Dark World No More sucks, Evenly Matched always gets negated. Like, especially when you have those insane Zephyr hands, when you have multiple counter traps. That's why I love sighting in more. And then on top of that, you'll have like Odd Eyes Vortex, Abyss Dweller, for example, in a counter trap, and your opponent's like, yes, I can play through these. They don't even realize you have an Ash Blossom in your hand. Or when you have Lambda up, they don't even like, maybe he does have Gamma. What's going on here? You know, like, it's just so many surprise factors with this deck. But as you guys are about to see, I'm doing the combo where I Pendulum Chain Zefraxy and Zephyr New, Chainlink 1, Chainlink 2, Zefraxy, search on my counter trap, Ravenous to draw, Oracle to stack any monster in the game, Kaku, Special, Calamities, counter trap, Ash Blossom, game over. Another test hand, and I did all of these today. All of these are fresh. I just made these before this video. So here's another good opening hand. Shrine plus Deneb is already full combo, but I opened Terraforming, which means I have Oracles, which means I can summon True King of all Calamities, and I already hard drew one of my 3 Zefraxys and one of my 2 Windies, which means my follow-ups are insane. So pressing play. Now, does this hand lose to hand traps? If you have 3, I would say yes, because if you have a hand trap for Deneb, for example, I don't know, like let's just say you have a hand trap for Gallant Granite, that'll stop Gallant Granite. And then if you have a hand, but keep in mind Deneb's gonna search out Satellarknight if you don't hand trap her. So you're gonna keep a scale under that one hand trap. Then when I go Oracle, they have another hand trap, which the only one that's really gonna work is like Ash Blossom. So let's say they ash the Oracle. Now when they ash the Oracle, you still have Gallant Granite, and you still have a high and a low scale, which means that you just keep resources, and on top of that, the Dark Worm is gonna get you your low scale. So now you can actually, for example, pin summon and then just synchro summon, and this is something that you can do. If your opponent hand traps this hand twice, let's say they hand trap Gallant Granite, and then, because if they hand trap Deneb or Dark Worm, it's just free real estate. But like, they don't want to hand trap these if they're smart. They want to hand trap the super impactful plays. Gallant Granite is going to be hand trapped. The Oracle is going to be hand trapped, which means now your next play is going to be to scale Windy, and then scale the gate 0 that you got off Dark Worm, and then you're gonna pin summon Zefraxy and the level 4 Tellarknight that you got, and then what you're gonna do is target it, make it a tuner, go into Odd Eyes Absolute, go into Meteor Burst, target your gate 0, summon it off Meteor Burst, go into Absolute, link the Absolute and the Gallant Granite into the into the IP or the Lambda, then you summon out your Odd Eyes Vortex. So you can still put up interruptions playing through the hand traps. So when other Pendulum decks like Endymion's get hand trapped twice or 3 times, they don't get to end on anything most instances, but like a Crowley, for example, the Crowley link, and that's it. But this hand is so insane, and this deck's so good that you can get hand trapped twice, and you still end on interruptions. Like, it's pretty strong, you guys. So Dark Worm, get my gate 0. Normal Deneb, which is like my favorite 2-card combo in this deck. Getting 3 skills off 2 cards, you're plussing so much. So my hand size is 6, so I have 6 cards in hand. I have a free Gallant Granite. If it doesn't die, it's just going to keep generating an advantage. So now it's like, you guys, I'm going to show you how much this deck pluses. Like, without Alluring, without Desires, without Endymion cards at all. Like, this is the best Pendulum deck, because it can play cards that no other Pendulum deck can play. It can do things that no other Pendulum deck can do. And also, it plays around all the hard counters that most people would side against Pendulums. And on top of that, it oftentimes doesn't need anything but 2 cards to go off, which is something like most Pendulum decks just cannot do. And it can main hand traps, and it can search them. So you guys are going to see this combo is actually awesome. So I'm going all the way in on this combo just to show you guys the power of this deck. I hold the Windy because like she's going to be my follow-up for next turn, but you guys are going to see that. Look at what I'm doing here. So I'm going Providence, let's go Ravenous, stack the Kaku, Special It, Calamities. Guess what? Wallet. Now you tell me this. Can Endymion summon, for one, a True King of all Calamities in the first place? And can they also put up 2 rank 4s on top of making the Calamities? Endymion can't even make rank 4s effectively. They have like 1 level 4, which is Abductor. They can't even put up Dweller in the first place. Not to say Pendulum Magicians can't. Pendulum Magicians can summon multiple rank 4s or Synchros, but can they summon Calamities this consistently? Without Valkyrie Fibrax, I very much doubt it. Which means it's not the Pendulum Magicians that are doing it, it's the Valkyrie Fibrax and the engine cards. Oracle is the only reason why this deck can summon Calamities, because it stacks the monster you need and it draws it. Well, the Ravenous draws it. So Oracle is the only reason why you can summon Calamities, which means The Zephyr cards themselves are what really enable this to be possible. Ravenous drawing a random card isn't going to do anything, but because you don't make it random, that's why, again, best Pendulum deck. Now, these are the best XYZs in the game, Calamities and Dweller. So if I have Calamities and Dweller by itself, I don't need a field of 5 to 6 negates. I am putting my opponent under a you can't play Yu-Gi-Oh for this restriction, this whole entire turn restriction, where you have Dark Ruler no more, you have Spear Mode, you have Lightning Storm, so what? The work is done. You can't play Yu-Gi-Oh that turn, which means now, for one, I'm protecting my ZEFRA, and I have Windy for a follow-up, and keep in mind also that you can't play Yu-Gi-Oh this turn, and I have a counter trap to negate whichever one I choose. So it's like, am I going to negate Dark Ruler no more? Heck no, it's a blank in your hand now. Am I going to negate Lightning Storm? What do I really lose? A Granite and a low scale. So I might not even negate that. It's like, it really depends how I feel. So like, this hand is like so insane. Your opponent has to like literally, this is a hand that plays into Nibiru, so they have to literally like Nibiru this. But we're not going to talk about what it like any interactions like that. We're talking about how good this deck is, and look at this board. This is very simple. Calamities, Dweller. Do you know that this board is better than having 2 Jackal Kings and 2 Endymions? Why? Because it puts your opponent under a no monster effect kind of restriction, no attacking, and no graveyard effects. Like, bro, this is like so powerful. So, pressing play, Providence into the counter trap, set it, pass. Now you guys see the follow-ups for this turn. You can call any attribute. I recommend Dark or Light. Light, really, when you have Dweller up, Light doesn't matter no more because Golden Lord can't come back. So then you probably would want to call like, let's say like either Dark or Earth next. Like honestly, you don't even have to call Water for Plunders because Dweller already shuts that down. So call whatever attribute you feel necessary, but look at the follow-ups. Look at the follow-ups. Look at the follow-ups. And how are they going to attack over your monsters because of Calamities? How are they going to out them because you have a counter trap to protect them? So if you activate a card effect to destroy them, I just negate it with my counter trap. It's insane. And on top of that, all my Zephyr cards have protection from Providence, so you can't really destroy them. So here's my follow-ups. IP, Pin Summon, Pin Summon, Pin Summon. Let's go. I can make another rank 4 if I want. What I'm going to do is go into Access Code Talker, and I have the 9 pillars, so if this got used, I have another counter trap, I still have Calamities, I still have Dwellers. Now I'm going to Access Code Talker, so if it's not game, you're in the same exact situation as before, where I have a counter trap, Dweller, and Calamities, except now Access Code's there staring at your face telling you have 1 turn, go. So now, let's go into combo number 3. Look at this hand. It's not even great. It's really not. I chose Madeline over Deneb since it's gonna make the Gallon Granite just by itself. Gallon Granite. Boom, let's go. Search out the Anger Translator. That hand wasn't that strong, but it's still like, this deck's consistent. And something else too, I didn't really cherry pick these hands. Like I didn't just keep pressing replay to draw. The first time I drew, it was a crazy hand, so I just saved the replays. I even recorded the ones that were bricks. So let's go. This hand, I choose to search the Oracle so I can do the Calamities combo. So you're going to see Providence into Oracle. Oracle into my follow-up, which is Windy. She's so powerful. And then I'm going to make Calamities. I could have chose 1 counter trap instead of Calamities, but I think Calamities is better than 1 counter trap. I think all of you guys can agree with me. So you guys see how consistently I'm putting up Calamities. These are all back to back to back. I made these literally today. You can even see the time. Today's the 15th. See, I'm not lying. The timing, 18:58, 20 seconds. So I think 12:06. So that was at 6:58 today. It's 8:27 for me right now. So I made this like an hour and some change ago. Now you guys see I'm not even lying. Look at the date on these. I just made these today. Like, I just wanted to get these to back up the video. Oh, whoops, my bad. I'm supposed to be in combo number 3, I think. Yeah, so combo number 3. So, Madeline. So this is like just, like, it's crazy. Like, I have any other spell in my hand, I can Pendulum Summon. Which means a lot. Anger Translator, Semi-Zephyr Niu, Scale Pilica instead of the Zefraction. So I can do this. Keep my, you see I don't commit these. I just keep them. Grab my Oracle, go Oracle. You already know I'm going to get Windy because Windy's just insane. Calamities. So that's going to be the end. I'm making Calamities again. And I always, this deck always has follow-ups. When an Endymion deck typically puts up a you can't play Yu-Gi-Oh board, they don't have like 3 or 4 cards left in their hand, and even the cards left in their hand aren't naturally follow-ups. They have resolved like everything in their deck, and they've resolved desires, and there's not much left. They've like Magician Soul, like all that's left in their deck are gonna be the other 2 Magician's Rest stages and like dead Magician Soul. Like, just, it's not gonna be really good. But this deck, my follow-ups are real, because my follow-ups actually turn into more negates if my board wasn't good enough. You know, I can even do follow-up Odd Eyes Absolute combos. That's what I love about the ZEFRA, is there's so many combos that it can enable, that when you do the Calamities combo, the next turn you could just do the Odd Eyes Vortex combo. So I have follow-up negations, follow-up boss monsters, follow-up OTKs. My board gets broken, I recover off of a Dragon Shrine and a Windy. A Dragon Shrine and a Windy just reestablishes my board off 2 cards, 2 scales, 2 monsters, another negate. And in this one, I was able to make Calamities with Zephyr War and Zephyr Divine Strike. I keep the War in hand because I could play it from hand. Might as well, so you know it can't get sniped or anything like that. And like this one, it's again, I'm just making Calamities. And like, look at the time between them. This one says 1855-52. This one says 1858. Like, and imagine how much time it takes. Like, literally, these were back to back to back. Zephyr Brick Hand. This is a Brick Hand. I didn't even commit anything. I just decided to pass. I have Gamma and Nibiru in hand. I feel like I'm going to body anything that tries to OTK me. I'm going to body them. And then I top deck the Zephyr Saiton. And so I ended that replay. But the reason why is because you guys can already see what I can do. I can just go ahead and activate Dragon Shrine, go Dark Worm, summon him, get my gate 0, normal this, make the Gallant Granite. Keep in mind that I probably resolved Nibiru and Gamma, so maybe this is different, but just like, for example, if I top deck any level 4, I go Dark Worm, get gate 0, normal summon, make Gallant Granite, get my Anger Translator, and then guess what I'm making? True King of all Calamities again, because ZEFRA is in my hand, and I'm Pendulum summoning the Zephyr New, which gets my Oracle, which can then get my Zephyr Windy, my follow-up. I can even go, if I want to be crazy greedy, I can go, you know, foolish and just like dump core just to extend if I want to like do something different for my scales. It's just really crazy. Like that brick hand, I only brick because I had hand traps in my hand, but again, if I was going second, that's not a brick hand. That's not. Oh yeah, ZEFRA search hand traps combo. Check this out. Watch me search my hand traps out. Remember I told you guys this deck searches hand traps? You guys don't have to believe me. Just watch this. Oracle for Zephyr, Providence for ZEFRA, Deneb for another scale. Just a level 4 is what really matters. Since this deck pluses so much. Like, the way the cards replace themselves is just so insane. I went all the way in for this one, showing you guys, like, this deck. Like, you can summon Appaloosa if you want, but you guys are going to see what I do. I go Ravenous. Instead of doing Calamities, since you guys seen that so much, I decided to stack Ash Blossom and draw it. Not to say that Calamities isn't better. I just want to show you guys what I was talking about. I wasn't lying when I said this deck searches its hand traps. Then I summon Redoer. I just go draw 1 and discard 1 off of Oracle. And then I banish Redoer, and then in phase I get Gamma. So, not saying that this is better or anything, but I just want to show you guys, look, I get to search Ash, I get to search Gamma, and I search my counter trap. I search Interruptions, and why is this sometimes better? Is because, like, when your opponent is in side decking games 2 and 3, they're side decking for your combo. This is a Pendulum deck. It's supposed to be a combo deck, but this is like so mid-range, so big brain, it's different. So they side deck spot removals and board wipes and things to break your board, but how can they break Ash and Gamma? They can't break that. It's not on field. They can't target it or destroy it. And also keep in mind, who the heck's gonna keep Called by the Grave in? Like, that's super duper risky against Pendulums. And I have Divine Strike, and you know my Redoer is super live. Like, I can just grab from their deck. So that's just one instance where I told you I could search my hand trap. Now keep in mind, going back into this combo, you can change what you do and change how the combo varies, where instead of searching out ZEFRA, you just search out another level 4. So something I'm going to say is Gallant Granite can search Nibiru. The Lambda Redoer combo gets the Ash, well, gets the Gamma. The Ash is searched off of the Crocodilus play. So this deck has the ability to search Nibiru, Ash, and Gamma. I feel like Nibiru, Ash, and Gamma are the best hand traps of this format. I play all of them, and I can search all of them. And I can play them effectively and consistently, which is crazy. So, something else the hand can do. You know, just saying. Yeah, that's pretty much it. You guys can see duels on another one. This video is already getting pretty long, but I've already showed you guys Zephyr duel replay, so you guys know this deck bodies, this deck smacks. Like, Zephyrs just go so hard in the paint, you guys. Like, this deck is amazing. Currently, right now, like I said, I'm in a luxury gaming tournament, and I've been playing Zephyrs the whole time, and I'm undefeated right now. I'm in the finals, and it's a different format. It's rogue format, so, like, I don't even have to like worry about super broken like Halky Frybex combos. Everybody's playing super fair Yu-Gi-Oh! And like people are using, you know, Vanity's Fiend and Majesty's Fiend. I just played against a deck that was using Majesty's Fiend. I outed the Majesties with the Zephyr Ward, like I was saying. Like this deck is just so crazy, you guys. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this. Hopefully this puts you on the Zephyr train. But need I mind you, if you want to learn how to play this deck, you're not going to be able to learn to play how to play it from Triff, because he doesn't know how to play this deck and he doesn't like it. And you're also going to need more patience and more understanding with this deck, because this is not Endymion. Endymion is way easier to play than Zephyr is. This is also why most people just go straight to Endymion, even if they're newer players, because Endymion's just easy. It's really easy. The combos are really strong, but they're not hard to memorize. You know, it's the same thing over and over. With Zephyrs, your combos can vary all the time, and you have the choice from your toolbox to, instead of summoning Calamities, you could just go into Vortex. You know, like if you play against, let's say it's Paleozoics or like Trap Tricks, Calamities might not be that good. So the same combo that can do Calamities, you can instead just do Zefraxy targeting a level 4. Then you summon out, you know, your gate 0. So you only really do it when you open one of your 3, 4, 6, 7, 8. You have 8 ways to get to the gate 0. So if you open any one of these 8 cards, you get gate 0, and then you're going to do your combo into Vortex. Vortex is better than Calamities against set 5 pass decks because he's an Omni Negate. I also recommend stacking and drawing your hand traps, because you can use them against cards like Desire, so that you could save your counter trap for one of their traps in a chain link and just win. And also this deck's really good against back row decks, even if they play Floodgates, because Saiton and Thubin pop face ups and face downs respectively. Very, very strong cards. This deck is the best Pendulum deck in my opinion. Oh, you know what? I got one last thing for you guys. You guys think this deck is not better than Endymion? I got something for you. ZEFRA versus Endymion. Let's find that duel. ZEFRA versus Endymion. Game 1. Let's go. I'm just going to show you guys. Maybe I should commentate so you guys see my opening hand. I terraforming for the Oracle. And unfortunately, Endymion cannot play hand traps. While I can, even if I don't draw him, I also have a better chance at simplifying the game state before I even start my combos. But my combos are stronger than theirs, because like they put up cards, so many cards, that they lose to Spear Mode. They can lose to Super Poly. You know, obviously, again, smart players don't just shotgun Super Poly. If you read that spell that people say counters Dark Rule No More, the Magician's Hand spell, indicates the first spell. It's mandatory. What do? Play any spell that's not Super Poly, and then Super Poly your butt anyways. I don't know how people think that a player is going to be so dumb that they're not going to read that card and see that it's mandatory to negate the first spell. So their counters to the cards that destroy them really don't work. They're going to get Spear Moded, they're going to get Lava Golem, they're going to get destroyed. I'm going to put up Calamities and counter traps and be like, what you going to do? Your Dark Rule No More, your Lava Golem, your Lightning Storm, what is it doing? Like, what is it really doing? Like, this deck, you have to use hand traps against this deck more than you use the cards to break the board, because once the board's made, you lose. But I went Oracle, as you guys can see. I grabbed my Zefraxy. I normal my Dark Arm instead of the Imagineering, because I want to get my low skill so I don't have to scale this, so I can summon Calamities against his butt. Then I go Zefrat, send my Zephyr Niu, and my Lifeblood is there, so boom, Pendulum summon 2 Calamities. I Pendulum summon the Imagineering 2 so that I can overlay to a rank 4. My friend, so this is also my homeboy Aaron Black. He was testing his Endymions. He's trying to play ZEFRA, so he's being converted. You guys see, he's about to switch probably from Endymion to ZEFRA. So I used my Zephyrs against his Endymion deck we're testing, and he's about to see how ZEFRA is superior. And we're about to go, so like, these two could be any rank 4. You guys see the rank 4 I chose, because again, I know I'm playing against Endymion. That's another thing. Like, we know what decks we're playing because we're friends. We're just testing against each other. So Calamities, Tornado, and then this could have been Dweller. So Calamities, Dweller, Counter Trap. That body's Eldritch, that body's Adamantipator, that body's every... Block Dragon doesn't resolve, like nothing. Even if I call the wrong attribute and they're like, Block Dragon sent from the field to the grave, graveyard effect, no Dweller. So again, that hand makes Calamities, Dweller, Counter Trap. You tell me what Calamities, Dweller doesn't body. Like, if it's a set 5 pass deck, like, bro, come on, come at me. Like, come at me. So, pressing play. As you guys see, he normals Basilisk to start gaining counters. I think his plan is to use Endymion's scale effect to try to nuke my field. So he's trying to get as many counters as he can on Basilisk, which is pretty smart because this is only play. I do use my counter track on the desires. The reason being is because now I know he only has 2 cards in his hand, and when you really think of it, out of the 2 cards in his hand, since he's under calamities, what can those do if it's not Endymion? And I know when he activates Endymion, I'm not gonna, if I negate the activation with the counter trap, he can just activate another one. Keep in mind, if you're smart, you're gonna wait for him to use the effect of Endymion, which you can only use once per turn, and then pop it, so that way you're not being played into a second Endymion. So I know this is like the only way he can break the board is in Indy. That's why I counter trap the desires, because I keep him also from committing too many monsters on field. So he pins Jackal King. He goes battle phase, he goes in phase, I just pop the Endymion, because I'm like, get that out of here, that's the only way you're playing. Normal Mageline, I grab another Mageline because it's follow-up after follow-up with this deck. This deck's super strong. I go in battle phase, smack his Jackal King first so he can't negate anything, then I can save my calamities. Pop his last scale, I put him in the like, what are you gonna really do situation, and then, you know, he's my friend, so I start flexing on him. I do. Because when you play with your friends, you're allowed to flex. Then we go Gallant Granite, and this is where I'm really flexing. I search Nibiru. I'm just like, what are you really gonna do, bro? Like, I still have calamities, I have 9 pillars, and even if you try, I have Nibiru. Like, this is like a, and then I negate it just because, like, I'm like, bro, it's a winning card. I'm just gonna negate it so I can search off Zephyr New, clear my extra monster zone, because I just want to flex on him now. Because I'm like, bro, like, you know, like, you just need to know Zephyr's better. Like, Zephyr's way better. So, now we're gonna go into an instance where he actually gets to go first. So, Zephyr versus Endymion again, or is it? Let me see. Nope, that's game 3. Okay, so again is game 3. So Zephyr versus, oh no, again is game 2. There we go. So Zephyr versus Endymion, the regular one is game 3. So swap. You guys are gonna see my hand. I open no hand traps, which is unfortunate. And then the other thing, I opened the pet that belongs to the Madolche, Mageline, and 2 Zephractes. So I didn't really brick because like I opened up like actual bricks. I bricked because I opened too many of the same cards in my 50 card deck. So it's unfortunate, but at the same time, it's fine. So you guys don't really get to see me use my actual Zephyr cards to break his board because I never really got to make like any Zephyr plays. I worked with what I had. You guys will see. So it's like super unfortunate, but it's like it's a possibility for any deck, so it's just gonna happen. And you guys see he's just coming up. I'm not really gonna explain this. This is just Endymion. Like, one thing I feel like he could have done better is he should have just scaled his Chrono and then special summon the Endymion, the Magister from scale. But you know, eventually he does get the extra spell for the Magister to have 3. And then he resolves Magister for Indy. And then he goes into Selene. He specials a Cerberus from his hand. And like, again, this is where it's like, bro, like, you see what I'm saying? Like, he didn't go into the spellbook play, and well, no, I'm sorry, let me check. He did, but look at, he resolved Desires before. So when he summoned this, his Desires probably screwed him. Matter of fact, I can see, let's see, Secrets, Knowledge. See, that's another thing. He's playing Desires, so he screwed himself. He screwed himself with his Desires, where he couldn't even plus any further because he plays Desires. Zephyrs don't need Desires. We don't need a lure. We don't need to draw our cards because our deck is so consistent. We just search what we want. Then I drew Nibiru to add insult to injury. So you guys really think I'm going to break this board? Heck no. So Dark Worm, you know, Dragon Shard and Dark Worm. Like, I'm just like, I'm going to try. You know, I'm going to try. I'm going to normal match and activate the effect, see what happens. Okay. Then special pet. And then he chains Magister, and this is where I'm like, dang, you know what? Something I could have done that might have changed a little bit is just before I go into the pet, overlay the Dark Worm and the Mageline into Gallant Granite, so then I can try to bait the Magister, like go into battle phase. But then he'll probably still, you know, summon the Jackal King off the Magister anyways. But I probably should have just changed the order, because then I could have basically went into Gallant Granite, detached for his effect, and then he would change, like, you know, basically he's waiting on his Magister, so because he's waiting instead of shotgunning it, that right there, instead of revealing the pet, I could have just overlaid to Gallant Granite, and then, you know, I force out the Magister to summon out the Jackal King, which I don't think really changes much, but like still, just changing my line of play might have led to different results. Might have, not saying it did. Then I just crash into his Jackal King. I'm like, this is all I can do. Because if I leave the Redoer on field, when he goes Cerberus to banish it, and I chain the the reader to banish itself, he just goes Jackal King anyways. So then he keeps Jackal King, which is more damage, but it's like it's game in any way. So like this is like really just inevitable that he doesn't have to worry about anything, because like my deck just didn't really like open good cards. Like I didn't open really anything good except like Magellan and Dragon Shrine, which is insane. Don't get me wrong, it really is. I can make out Granite, but that's my best play, and it's my only play really, because I have 2 Zefraxis. Going first, that hand is insane, obviously, because it's like full combo Calamities. So I lose, and then I'm gonna go to game 3. Whoop. Look at my hand. I drew War. I sided in more Zephyr cards, so this is not my only War. Ooh, I'm about to top deck Zephyr. That's nice. I have Terraforming and Providence. Let's see how this hand plays out. Terraforming, Oracle, into Anger Translator, Dark Lord, into my low scale. Activate, effect, send Zephyr New. And you guys can see, so like, look what I'm doing here. I'm not summoning True King of all Calamities, right? You guys see that I could have activated Providence to go into Zefraxi, to go into the True King of all Calamities play. But also, let me see. Maybe I sided it out, or my mindset was different. This was earlier today. Oh snap! That's what it was. I sided out the no, he's right there. So I could have went into Calamities. So this could have been Calamities plus a counter trap and a War, but I went into a different route. This is what I did. Boom. Overlay Tornado, pass. So I have all these. So like I could have easily went into Calamities, but something else that's beneficial off my line of play is because I can actually use the 9 pillars. I turned the Zephyr New into a follow-up, but if I go into Calamities, I have no follow-ups because I commit everything to that combo. So as you guys see, it's a little bit smarter. This still bodies him no matter what, because look at my interruptions. Double counter trap, War, and Tornado. I'm playing against Pendulums. Like, I can save all 4 of these for his scales, and he'll just never Pendulum summon. Like, that could be the best case scenario. But you guys will see how everything plays out. He goes Instant Fusion. I don't negate it. I instead just go War on the Restrict, so I don't waste any negates. Upstart. You guys are gonna see. Then he goes Magician's Soul. He opened the Soul. He goes Allure. He's gonna banish the Chronograph. Then he scales Cerberus. Then I chain to Cerberus's effect, the Tornado, pop him. He goes into Anima, then activates Rest Stage. This is where I should have negated Rest Stage, just for the simple fact that if I don't negate Rest Stage, he gets out Restrict. I have to negate Restrict if it targets the Zephyr New, because then I lose 9 pillars, and I lose Zephyr Divine Strike. But the thing is, if I wait that far, I let him keep Rest Stage on the field. So I should have just negated Rest Stage, but I didn't. That's a misplay on my behalf. Because basically, I stop him no matter what, but the thing is, he keeps more cards. So the Rest Stage stays there, and he gets out the Restrict. If I negate the Rest Stage, Restrict's gone, and so is the Rest Stage. But now if I negate Restrict, he still has Rest Stage, if that makes sense to you guys. But he targets my Tornado Dragon, so I let it happen because I'm like, I don't care. Take my Tornado, I keep my negates this way. And continuing, he normals Blue Boy. I wait. I'm gonna wait for the knowledge. Then he goes into Selene, which again, okay. So then I just 9 pillars it, and then I get my follow up. Now he has literally he's just like so limited. Like even if he resolves knowledge, all I have to do is negate his low scale. I know the Endymions, how it works. I know they have more high scales than low scale. So if I negate his low scale, he'll have 3 cards left in hand. If I negate his low scale, he can only go scale, pin summon 1. Do you really think I'm worried about pin summon 1? So like I'm winning either way. And keep in mind, as far as Calamities goes, what monster effects did he really use? Like he didn't really use anything that was threatening. He had like Restrict, Blue Boy, and like Magician Souls. Those are like the only monster effects he used, and they really aren't like, this is the only one that's like threatening. This one wasn't that bad because like I had the War to it. So it's like Calamities, like me choosing not choosing Calamities didn't really even like matter. Like this deck is just insane. Then I have Dark Worm. Like just look at what happens, you guys. Like it's just it's about to go down. Now you guys get to see Calamities is coming out for me to add insult to injury. Get my counter trap, which again I have another one, so I have double Divine Strike now. Now you guys see Calamities. Isn't it funny? Follow up Calamities? That's just adding insult to injury. That really is. It's like, yeah, now I'm negating both your scales. Good luck, have fun. Like, bro. And if I was making Endymion boards, again, super poly. Look, let me show you guys this right now. Pause. Read Magician's Right Hand. For all of you who are just so like just Triff fangirls or whatever, like I'm sorry, Triff fans. My fault. I really need to check myself because that's not okay to say that. For any of you guys who are Triff fans who follow the list and think Magician's Right Hand is so insane, let me explain this to you. Negate the effect of your opponent's first spell card or effect that resolves each turn while you control a spellcaster. So does that mean that if my opponent decides to be smart and activate a spell before they activate Dark Ruler no more, does that mean that you're playing around Dark Ruler no more now? No! You're losing to Dark Ruler no more because I can just activate Mystic Mind, for example. Just for example, I can activate Mystic Mind, Right Hand negates it, it's mandatory, it's not optional, they have to negate it. You know that this thing has to negate Upstart Goblin? It has to, there's no choice in the matter. So I activate literally any spell. It sucks for you if you have no spells in your hand, of course, now you're playing around Dark Ruler no more. But do you see how situational this card is? It's like, bro, are you kidding me? I open Dark Ruler in any spell, I'm still gonna Dark Ruler you. And if I'm playing Zephyrus, I am absolutely gonna Dark Ruler you. I'm just gonna activate anything in my skill. This has to negate it. It goes to grave, Dark Ruler, body, you're done. Like, bro. But tell me, how does somebody Dark Ruler no more, calamities, and counter traps? Even my turn 1 board, Tornado Dragon plus Zephyr and you really think Super Poly, Dark Ruler no more, or Spear Mode are gonna wax that? Do you think like that's gonna work? No! Like, so again, like Lightning Storm, how? I have negates for that. Like, you guys have to understand that this deck is crazy. Like, you guys get it, right? Like, now you guys see. Zephyr is like the best. Like, it's the best. It's the best. But, our Father which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, Jesus. Thy kingdom come, and thy will be done on earth just as it is in heaven. Please give us this day our daily bread, Lord, and please forgive us of our debts as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, Father, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the glory, and the power forever. In the mighty name of Jesus I pray. Hallelujah. Amen. Alright, you guys, Deuces is wild. Now you guys see why I love Zephyr so much. If you guys don't think that this deck's good, or you guys think that I'm gassing you up, or that I'm just like, I'm capping, go ahead and like look up my Zephyr profiles, and then check out my channel. Just type Zephyr first place or undefeated Zephyr or anything. See how many times I win with this deck, how many times I top with this deck, how many like titles that I like. Dude, like this deck topped Nats. Well, I topped Nats by the grace of God. I topped Nats with this deck. I've topped multiple regionals, ARG circuit series. Like, bro, I have like so many competitive event tops with Zephyrus to back up me as a Zephyr player and to back up how good this deck is. If you're coming to this video from the perspective thinking this deck's bad, but you haven't topped a single day in your life, and you also don't even know how to play Zephyrus, how is your opinion gonna be valid to say that this deck is not good? Now, it being better than Endymion, I told you guys that in the beginning of the video. That's my opinion. It's not a fact. But I will say, just when you play both decks and you see the difference, this is the big brain deck and Endymion's the mainstream deck. This is the underdog deck and Endymion's the deck that sees more play and more spotlight. Does that mean that Endymion is superior? All the weaknesses that Endymion has, ZEFRA either is not, it's immune to them, either it has immunity or it has searchable like outs to all those cards. So like, is Endymion like a better deck? I don't think so. And is Endymion gonna run into more turbulence as far as all those cards I named that body like pretty much every other Pendulum deck? Yeah, but like ZEFRA has searchable outs to like all these cards I'm talking about, and it's just a really strong deck. And can Endymion recover their board after it's been broken? Can they make their combos off 2 or 3 cards where you cannot play Yu-Gi-Oh deck? No, because like normally their combos require drawing multiple times. Now it's not even a self-contained 2 or 3 card combo. It's all RNG. Endymion's all RNG, it's all luck based, it's based off what you draw, and you know, you're just gonna resolve like Endymion, like you're just gonna go Servant, you know, Selene, Vortex, Endymion, Jackal King, which is still nice, it's strong, but you get waxed by Spear Mode, you get destroyed by Super Poly, you get destroyed by, oh yeah, another thing, are you gonna open the Magician's Right Hand every duel? No, it's not even searchable, so now you still get destroyed by Dark Ruler, you still get destroyed by Super Poly, like, honestly, bro, if like your opponent just happens to open like a Kaiju and a Lightning Storm, you're still gonna get destroyed, honestly. Like bro, let's just say for example, like they open like, I don't know, like Kaiju plus Slumber and Lightning Storm. Like, there's so many ways to break those boards, but like with the Zephyrs, the cards that people normally side deck against Pendulums just don't work. And Anti-Spell, Zephyr War outs it. Imperial Order, the Zephyr Thubin and Zephyr War outs it. Vanity's Fiend, Majesty's Fiend can be outed. Vanities can be outed by Zephyr Thubin or Zephyr War. Majesties can be outed by Zephyr War. And if Majesties is up, I can just activate Providence, search it, and I can play it from my hand with my skills. Like, and all the cards that Endymion can make, like the Vortex and stuff like that, the Vortex, the rank 7s, the Selene, Zephyr can make those. I can. You guys forget that Magdalene's the spellcaster? I can make Selene with her. I can even put an Endymion engine in my Zephyrs, and now my deck is better than yours because I have all your cards and mine. Like, it's just crazy, you guys. But peace out, yo.